Right, the next person on the Harry Potter list is Rupert Grint, who played Ron Weasley. And I found very striking when I was looking at this person just how kind of miserable they always looked as a child. Well, and now too also. Be very unusual for a biological male who's kind of living this lifestyle and not being abused in any way to be this kind of unhappy looking. Anyhow, at this age, there's quite a softness in the face, there's a softness in the eyes, quite a, delicate looking facial structure. But again, it's a child, so we'll just keep checking and see when it's older how it looks. This feels so... like, if this child isn't being abused, I don't know why it would look like this. These eyes just doesn't look right at all. Anyway. Even here, the smile doesn't look very real. These both look very feminine to me. The energy comes off very feminine. Again, it's that lost, dead kind of look that you always seem to find on FTMs, and Rupert Grint really shows that look. There's such a different feeling between these two and this one. This one has such a kind of brash, boyish feel to it, and these ones don't. Again, just look at that face. It's my opinion. I can't say anything because I don't know anything. I'm not a mind reader, but based on what I see in that face and those eyes, that doesn't look like a happy child. This looks much more masculine in this face than these two do. It's just something about the energy, something about the shape of the jaw, the face, everything. It's very different between these different people. Again, look at the softness in Daniel Radcliffe's face. Look at the softness in the eyes here. Compared to this, they look very different in energy. If you can't recognize that, then you, like many people, are a victim of the transgender, making everyone confused about what constitutes natural gender, and confused about how to discern the gender of a person. In the energy in the eyes, just the general feeling about the person, the face. It does look like this person's got quite a lot of curve to them. The look in these eyes, this is probably one of the worst cases in the famous FTMs. This person, I feel very sorry for them because I feel like they can't even hide the way they feel for the camera. Kind of soft looking hands, they don't look really large, kind of more of a soft angled curve to the jaw, not a kind of sharp look or anything. Softness in the face. And most outstandingly, there is a definite female Q angle. This is undeniably a female Q angle. Even though they're angling the feet outwards, standing like that, with the legs farther apart, these are definitely female legs. Like on Daniel Radcliffe, we have a short neck. It's a bit of a slope to the shoulders. Some men do have more of a slope to the shoulders, especially if they build up the trapezius muscles. It can appear more like that. But this isn't a particularly, muscular kind of person. Look at the width of the hips compared to the shoulders. They look about equal. That's female. In this shot, you can tell the arms are hanging a little bit forward, so... Now, a lot of redheads and gingers, they'll have kind of more of a stocky body type. I've just seen this quite frequently with gingers. They'll often, generally they'll be very pale and then have more of a kind of thickness to the body compared to other people. And you do see that on this person, and it might make it more believable in some shots to say, oh yeah, it could be male because it's a bigger person. But no, there appears to be quite a delicate taper to the fingers, just looks quite delicate even though it's a bit more stocky. Again, just like on Daniel Radcliffe, we've got the small chest, the short arms, the waist indentation point above the navel, the roundness to the hips. And here the trousers are worn very low, which often we see FTMs do, because if they do that, then it disguises the width of the hips and the female Q angle, which they always have. Looks like the deltoids have been built up on this person. The arms angle out from the shoulder. There's quite a lot of, width and mass down here. Just kind of looks very soft all around. More female subcutaneous fat levels. Can tell there's definitely a curve in the spine. See how it comes in like that, comes out a little bit. The high waist point, curve of the hips. Generally males don't look like this around this region as well. Generally males will be kind of, flatter or look stronger, but this is a strange kind of look we often see on FTMs with the kind of pointing in different directions and things. It's just, these knees even look female. The female subcutaneous fat levels, they're much more curved and rounded. It's just such a soft looking person. It's possible for males to be soft, but generally a male of an average size like this, you'd see more of their bone structure, especially the knees and the collarbones. This is just pretty unusual for a male. It does appear like the nose probably has been increased by testosterone treatment. There's quite a point to the chin. Jaw is not particularly strong. Cheekbone's not particularly strong. Not too much of a brow ridge, a little bit. That can be developed through taking testosterone. It does look like there's a bit of a widow's peak, which is more common on females. I don't remember the statistics exactly, but it's something around the area of maybe 80% of girls having it, and maybe around 10% of men having it. And it does depend on different populations. Some populations there's a high incidence of widow's peaks on men, and some populations there's basically none. And yeah. But anyway, on average, across populations it's more common on females than on males. Again, when people take estrogen blockers, then the torso can fill in, and if they build muscle, then also the torso can be filled in more, looks less like a female when they do that. And often these ginger kind of people will have kind of stockier bodies, and they'll also hold muscle better. It's probably, a throwback to some of the Viking ancestry, when people from those regions of the world, they often will be quite bulky and muscular and just overall broad kind of people. So even if it's a kind of smaller person, it can just look a bit kind of thicker than some girls might, It's the results of taking hormones and having that kind of ancestry and body type in the first place. And that just does not feel male at all. It feels very female. The shape of the face also looks more female. It's just such a softness on this person. Again, just that lost, sad FTM look in the eyes. That doesn't feel male at all. Again, the angling, curving of the jaw. Not much in the neck. Lips appear to be about equal size. On females, this will generally be the case, whereas on males, often the upper lip will be smaller than the lower. The features are all small and evenly spaced. The nose is larger, I believe, because of taking testosterone, because this will grow the nose. And as often seen with FTMs, they just light up when they're with little children, with babies. There's just that essential female nurturing energy that comes out in those situations. It's really amazing. Female subcutaneous fat levels again, fat in the cheeks. Looks like the hairline is receding, which, does happen on natural males, and it does seem to be happening more often on the younger males of this generation. Not precisely sure why that is. It does seem to happen more often these days, but with FTMs, a known result from taking testosterone can be hair loss. Again, there's nothing much going on in the neck. Just look at these curvy legs. This is the real giveaway on so many FTMs, is the female Q angle and the width of the hips, because they can do so much to change their body. They can develop brow ridges, they can develop larger noses, and the lower part of their face can grow, elongate. They can have all kinds of facial work done, implants of different kinds. They can grow facial hair, they can grow body hair, they can have their body filled in through taking different hormones and different workouts and things, but they just can't change that essential bone structure. That's the thing that doesn't change on hormones, is the bones. That develops as coded for in DNA, so that's why we can always tell when someone is inverted and when they're not. And you can tell from the shape of these hips and thighs that this person has a female skeleton. The arms angle out from the shoulders again, female. This person definitely runs like a girl. The angle of the leg in comparison to the ground looks very much how females run. Does look like we've got that acute Q angle. There's a lot of mass down in the lower part of the body. Really curvy hips, curvy thighs. Looks like up here is smaller than down this region. Hands look pretty small. You can just see the width to this pelvis. It's obviously not a male pelvis. Curvy thighs. Looks like they still try a little bit to do the sort of tilting the knees and toes out when they walk. A lot of FTMs do know this trick and they try to employ it, but some of them don't do it as well as others. I think, again, because this person's so curvy, it might be more difficult for them compared to some. Curvy thighs, the shape of the legs looks very feminine. The mass is all down here. You can tell that there's less mass up here. The waist is high. You can sense these things. The head looks kind of proportionally too large for if this was a male. The male, the shoulders would be larger. They don't look very large for... Again, the energy of the person just feels very feminine. The face shape is still very feminine even with testosterone. These hands are really not masculine. I've said before, some males of the younger generation seem to have not very masculine hands, and it's likely because of a lot of hormonal blockers and interference from hormones in the environment and in different foods and things. But anyway, these hands really don't look very masculine at all. On this hand it looks like the index finger is kind of curving more compared to this one, and on this one it does look like they may have a female digit ratio. It could be uneven on both hands, or it could be about the same. In any case, this trait is not conclusive to determine gender. The primary skeletal markers indicating the ability or lack of ability to bear children are the best way to determine gender, and this person clearly does have that wide female pelvis, the female Q angle. It's just very obvious this is a girl. Smaller mass up here compared to down here. That female energy, very clear. Just very obvious. This one is actually knock-kneed a little bit too. It is possible for males to be knock-kneed, it's just much more common on females. And just obviously this is a person with a wide female pelvis. The arms angle out to make space for that pelvis. Again, the acute female Q angle. Thigh bones angle in from the pelvis down to the knee. Just very clearly female skeletal structure. This person usually seems to wear baggy clothing and kind of jackets and things, but there's that, as I've talked about before, kind of that awkward FTM tilt that natural males don't have because they tend to have straighter spines, so that their body will kind of just go straight down like a pole, but on females we have a pelvic tilt and a spinal arch, and so our posterior will kind of stick out more than on a male. And here you can see through the clothing what looks like the female spinal arch on this person. And again here, the posterior comes out, and the upper body, you can tell there's just curve in this person. which also there does appear to be here on this person. Kind of curve going on, small chest. And yet there does not appear to be on this person. The Watson with the squarer, smaller hips and the big back, upper body. Straight back, interesting. Straight legs, interesting indeed. Again, here you can totally see the spinal arch. The clothing is hugging it more here. There's the curve of the spine all through here. Very obviously a female spine. Kind of curved to the legs and everything. This is a case of an FTM that has more of a kind of curvy figure, physique, difficult to overcome even with hormone treatment. Whereas over here we've got the very straight looking spine, straight looking legs. Interesting. Such a difference in energy here. Look at this kind of focused, concentrated energy. It's very projected, much more intense. On this person, it's very gentle, very mild. This energy draws you inward, this energy pushes outward. Just look between them, and if you can't feel that, just, keep trying. You'll figure it out as you keep looking at people and trying to sense the energy in them. And, the precedence to that is to not deny the existence of this energy. If you deny that, you're never going to be able to learn. Just have to accept that it's something that maybe you can't see yet, and accept that it could be out there. And that's also the key to the learning of all knowledge, is to accept that there are things that you might not know yet, even if they maybe sound crazy to you right now. Just accept that it could possibly be, and then when your mind is open to that degree, and you can work through things and figure them out and keep studying, that's when you're going to attain further knowledge. Isn't that something we all want? Okay, again, female energy, male energy, female energy. Interesting indeed. Softness in the faces of this one and this one, not in this one. The shoulders are very wide in the one in the middle. Much broader looking. Looks like the skull could fit 3 times on those shoulders, not necessarily on either of the other two. Of course, taller people will have broader shoulders, but this person isn't particularly tall as far as I know. Again, Rupert Grint has the female Q angle, has the wide female hips. FTMs often put their hands in the pockets to disguise the width of the hips, and the wearing of shoulder pads can help increase the appearance of the broadness of the shoulders. There is not really much of a neck. Males have longer necks on average. Sometimes females will have longer necks too. Again, this is a trait that can vary depending on ancestry and what region of the world your ancestry is from. It makes a huge difference in what you look like, as does nutrition, as does the hormones you take into your body, whether it's, BPAs, atrazine, all kinds of different chemicals in the environment, as well as hormone treatments. Your body can change so much depending on these things. The one thing that won't change is your skeletal structure, well, and then your spiritual energy. But the skeletal structure is something that should be possible to measure for any person, whereas the spiritual energy is something some people will still deny and aren't interested in learning about. So, as far as the skeleton goes, there is a female Q angle here, there is a female hip to shoulder ratio. That means it's female. Again, this is so obviously a female Q angle. The legs step closer together. If males gain too much excess weight, especially if it's caused by by drinking too much of beer with a large amount of phytoestrogens, plant estrogens in beer, and then the more that goes on, the more kind of female fat distribution you can have occur, but that doesn't change the bone structure, and this person very obviously has a female bone structure. Curvy, wide hips. This would be a voluptuous girl if it was a girl. Well, if it hadn't been transgendered anyway. Again, look at how the arms angle out from the shoulders. They do this to accommodate the wider hips. Again, undeniably female Q angle. It's trying a little bit, I think, to do the kind of FTM walk with the knees and feet angled out, but I think that's it's more difficult depending on the width of the pelvis, and females do have slightly different dimensions in that area, and especially curvy girls. I think that's the hardest to try and change the gait, just because it's, you know, the female Q angle exists in the first place to help distribute the weight of the pelvis, to help distribute it across more of an angled structure, to help support it, especially so that when women are pregnant they can continue to be able to walk, because if they just had straight legs close together they wouldn't be able to do that. It would be too much strain, I believe, on the pelvis. Again, just obviously curvy female thighs, arms angle outward. So essentially it does look like there's a bit of a kind of smaller dental arch, which is more common on females, small gap between the nose and the mouth, pretty much equal lip size, closely spaced features, and not too much development in all of the facial bones, pointed chin, not much in the neck, short neck. And then that paired with the female spinal arch and the wide hips and the female Q angle indicates this person has XX chromosomes. Rupert Grint looks like a female to male transgender, and that is that.